Lila's first snowy night in the quiet heart of Lullaby Valley, where little hills glowed softly under the moonlight and tiny lanterns hung from tree branches like sleepy stars, stood a round wooden house no bigger than a pumpkin. Inside that house lived Lila the Mouse, a gentle, curious baby mouse with creamy white fur and big, warm brown eyes that sparkled whenever she wondered about something new. Lila had been cozy all evening, wrapped in a tiny knitted blanket as she listened to the soft hum of the night outside. But tonight felt different. She couldn't explain why, but the air seemed quieter, softer, almost as if the world was holding its breath. Lila twitched her pink nose. "Why is it so quiet?" she whispered to herself. She padded toward her round wooden door, her little paws making almost no sound on the smooth floor. The door had a tiny round window carved into it, just the right size for Lila to peek through. Usually, she could see the fireflies drifting lazily above the grass, or hear the faint rustling of the wind between the leaves. But when she looked out tonight, everything looked still. No fireflies, no rustling leaves, just a soft silver glow. Lila's whiskers tingled. Something magical was happening. With a deep breath and a gentle push, she opened her door and stepped outside. A cool whisper brushed across her fur, and suddenly she saw it: snow. Real, shimmering snow, falling quietly from the sky. Tiny white flakes drifted down like little dancing feathers. They spun and wiggled and floated before settling softly on the grass. Lila blinked in amazement, watching one snowflake land right on her paw. It sparkled for a moment before melting into a tiny bead of water. "Oh," Lila breathed. It wasn't a scared "oh" or a surprised "oh." It was an "I've never seen something so beautiful" kind of "oh." The whole valley had changed. The hills wore soft blankets of white. The trees shimmered as snowflakes rested gently on their branches. Even the moon seemed to shine brighter, reflecting off everything around her. Lila stepped further out, her tail making a tiny trail behind her. Crunch. She froze. What was that sound? She lifted her foot and placed it on the snow again. Crunch. Her eyes widened. Lila had heard many things before: the chirping of crickets, the bubbling of the little stream behind her house, the hooting of fluffy owls who stayed up too late. But she had never heard snow under her paws. She giggled. Snow makes sounds too. She walked in a small circle, listening to the gentle, crisp noises each step made. The sound was quiet, but clear, clean, friendly, as if the snow was whispering hello with every step. Above her, flakes continued to fall, slow and peaceful. Lila stretched her paws upward, trying to catch them. One landed on her nose, and she wiggled it in surprise. Another landed on her ear, another on her head. Soon she had a tiny crown of snowflakes melting into sparkles. She turned her gaze to the forest nearby. In the summertime, she sometimes felt a little nervous around the tall, dark trees. Their shadows seemed endless, and the night sounds grew louder near them. But tonight, the forest was glowing. Snow lay on every branch, making each tree look soft and gentle, like someone had wrapped them in white scarves. The paths between the trunks were lined with silver light. Even the shadows looked friendly, as if the trees were smiling quietly. Lila's whiskers twitched again. Maybe night isn't scary after all, she thought. Maybe I just never looked at it the right way. A soft breeze drifted by, carrying a faint, jingling sound. Jing, 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 Lila perked up. What was that? It wasn't bells from the town. It wasn't wind chimes. It was something she had never heard before, delicate and musical, like stars tapping on glass. She followed the sound a few steps forward. The snowflakes around her sparkled brighter as she moved, as if cheering her on. The jingle grew clearer. Could snow make music? Could the night itself be singing? Lila paused in the middle of the clearing, closing her eyes. She breathed in slowly and listened. She heard the breeze sigh across the snow. She heard the soft clicking of ice crystals settling on branches. She heard the gentle rhythm of flakes landing on the ground. And somewhere far in the valley, she heard an owl giving a soft nighttime hoot, not the loud kind, not the spooky kind, but a slow, warm hoo-oo, as if saying, "Good evening, little one." Lila's heart felt warm. She opened her eyes again and whispered, "I didn't know night could sound so pretty." She looked around at the glowing, snowy world, the tiny, sparkling flakes drifting all around her. And for the first time in her life, she felt something new, not worry, not fear, confusion. She felt wonder. She felt bravery. She felt that the night had stories to tell, and she wanted to hear every one of them. Lila took another slow step into the snow, ready to explore just a little more. Tonight was her first snowy night, and she was not afraid. Lila took a few more careful steps into the snow, her tiny paws leaving soft prints behind her. The valley felt bigger than ever before, but in a gentle way, wide and sparkling, as if inviting her to discover things she had never noticed. The moonlight brushed the ground with a silver glow, and everything around her seemed to breathe quietly. Crunch, crunch, crunch. The sound followed her with every step. Lila giggled again. "I'm walking on stars," she whispered, imagining that the snowflakes were tiny pieces of the night sky that had drifted down to greet her. The jingling sound she had heard earlier returned, faint at first, then a little clearer. Jing, jing, jing. It felt like something magical was calling to her. She turned toward the forest's edge. The tall trees, wrapped in soft snow, didn't look dark or scary anymore. Their branches sparkled like they were decorated for a secret nighttime festival. Lila gathered her courage and walked a bit closer. As she reached the first tree, a gentle thump startled her, soft and quick, like something tiny landing nearby. She looked down and saw a small pile of snow fall from a branch above. From that branch, two bright golden eyes blinked at her. Lila squeaked softly and took a step back. Then a fluffy little creature hopped into view, round, white, and barely larger than Lila's head. Its feathers puffed out like a cloud, and its short wings fluttered awkwardly. It was a baby owl. The tiny owl tilted its head, studying Lila with curious eyes. "Hello," Lila whispered, unsure if owls understood mouse language. The baby owl blinked once, then twice, then let out a very small, very gentle "hoo" that sounded more like a sigh than a real hoot. Lila's fear melted away instantly. "You're just like me," she said softly. "Small, curious, and awake when everyone else is asleep." The owl hopped a little closer. Snowflakes landed on its feathers, sparkling for a moment before disappearing. Lila lifted her paw and waved carefully. The owl didn't speak, but it bobbed its head in a friendly way and turned to look deeper into the forest, as if it wanted to show her something. "You want me to follow?" Lila asked. The owl blinked slowly. That was enough for Lila. She took a breath that filled her chest with cold, clean air and stepped into the forest. The owl flapped gently from branch to branch, guiding her like a tiny, snowy lantern. The deeper they went, the quieter everything became. Lila could hear her own breathing, steady and calm. She listened to the soft tapping of snowflakes landing on leaves, the distant whisper of the wind weaving between the trunks, and the owl's tiny wings rustling. It didn't feel lonely. It felt peaceful, like the forest was telling her, "You're safe here." After a few minutes, the trees opened into a small clearing. It was round, perfectly shaped, as if nature had carved it just for moments like this. In the center stood an old stump covered with a thick layer of snow. Above it hung a branch with icicles that shone like tiny glass bells. And then Lila heard it clearly. Jing, jing, jing. The sound she'd been chasing wasn't bells or magic or falling stars. It was the icicles themselves. The wind brushed past them gently, and the icicles chimed together, creating a quiet, shimmering melody that floated through the clearing. Lila's mouth fell open in wonder. "It's beautiful," as she stepped closer to the stump and tilted her head back to see the icicles better. They glowed under the moonlight, as if someone had strung little silver lights along the branch. The owl perched nearby, watching her reaction with soft, pleased eyes. Lila closed her eyes for a moment and let the gentle music wash over her. No part of this night felt frightening anymore. Every sound, the snow, the wind, the trees, the owl, felt like part of a quiet lullaby made only for her. When she opened her eyes again, she noticed something she hadn't seen before. On the stump, pressed into the soft snow, were tracks. Small tracks, tiny paws, a trail leading deeper into the clearing. They weren't mouse tracks, and they weren't from the owl. These paws were wider, but still small, maybe another little forest creature. "What do you think made these?" she asked the owl. The owl blinked as if saying, "Let's find out." Lila leaned closer. The tracks looked playful, like the creature who made them had hopped, not walked. The trail glistened in the moonlight, each step filled with powdery snow. Her heart fluttered with excitement. This night was full of surprises. She followed the trail slowly, step by step, listening to the soft crunch beneath her paws. The tracks led behind a fallen log covered with sparkling snow. Lila peeked over it carefully and saw something she didn't expect. A tiny mound of snow was moving, wiggling, actually shaking side to side, as if something underneath it was trying very hard to get out. Lila gasped and stepped back. The owl fluffed up in surprise. Lila waited, wide-eyed, as the mound wiggled again. Then, pop, a small head burst out of the snow, sending a shower of flakes into the air. A little white rabbit blinked up at her. Its fur was fluffy and bright. Its nose twitched rapidly, and its tiny ears poked straight up, making it look like a bouncing snowball with ears attached. The rabbit sneezed achoo, sending another puff of snow flying. Lila giggled. The rabbit giggled too, or at least made a soft, squeaky sound that felt like a giggle. "Hello," Lila said with a warm smile. "I'm Lila." The rabbit hopped closer and sniffed her paw, then rubbed its cold little nose against her fur as if in greeting. The baby owl fluttered down to sit beside them, and suddenly Lila realized something. She wasn't just exploring the snowy night. She was making friends in it, friends who lived here in the night and weren't scared at all. Lila felt her heart glow with warmth. Maybe nighttime wasn't a place to fear. Maybe it was a place full of gentle creatures, sparkling sounds, and quiet beauty she had never noticed. And with her new friends beside her, she was ready to discover even more. Lila stood in the quiet clearing, surrounded by soft, glowing snow. The tiny owl perched nearby, and the fluffy white rabbit hopping circles around her paws. The night no longer felt big or dark or mysterious. It felt full of gentle sounds, warm feelings, and new friends she never expected to meet. The rabbit nudged Lila's paw playfully and then bounded toward a small hill of snow, leaving little dashes of prints behind him. He stopped halfway up, wiggled his tail, and hopped again, disappearing into a puff of glittery snowflakes. Lila gasped and laughed. "You're so fast." The rabbit popped his head out again, shaking snow from his whiskers. Then, with a little squeaky sound, he motioned with his ears as if to say, "Come try it." Lila hesitated. She had never climbed a hill in the snow before. What if she slipped? What if she sank into the soft powder? she heard the quiet, calm hoo from the tiny owl above her, like a comforting whisper reminding her she wasn't alone. Taking a careful breath, Lila stepped onto the snowy hill. Crunch, another step. Crunch, her paws sank just a little, but not enough to frighten her. The snow felt cool but gentle, supporting her as she climbed. The rabbit waited at the top, bouncing excitedly. The owl fluttered above her in slow circles, glowing under the moon. Lila reached the top of the hill and gasped. From there, she could see all of Lullaby Valley. The tiny lanterns along the winding paths glowed like floating fireflies. The rooftops sparkled under their snowy blankets. The river shimmered with moonlight, flowing slowly like a silver ribbon. The pine trees stood tall and soft, dressed in white. "It looks like a dream," Lila whispered. The rabbit thumped his small foot, agreeing. The owl gave a gentle flutter of wings, as if applauding the snowy world below. Lila sat on the top of the hill, letting her short tail curl around her paws. The valley had always been her home, but tonight she saw it differently, calmer, softer, and deeper than she had ever imagined. She closed her eyes and listened again. The icicles filled the distance with their quiet music. The wind hummed softly through branches. Snowflakes landed in tiny whispers around her. The owl made occasional delicate hoots, and the rabbit's paws brushed the snow with gentle taps. All of it together made the night feel alive, but in the gentlest, coziest way. Lila opened her eyes and looked up at the moon, round and bright. "I thought nighttime was scary," she admitted softly. "But maybe I just didn't understand it yet." The owl hopped down beside her, fluffing up his feathers. The rabbit pressed his warm side against her paw. Lila smiled. "Thank you for showing me," she whispered to them. Just then, a breeze danced across the hill, carrying a swirl of sparkling flakes. The snowflakes spun like little stars, drifting around Lila and her friends. Lila reached out a paw and caught 3 of them. Each one melted instantly, leaving a tiny, cool kiss on her fur. She giggled, a soft, light giggle that floated into the night. After a while, the rabbit bounded toward a path leading back through the forest, pausing to wait for Lila. The owl took flight again, gliding low and slow, guiding them with his gentle presence. Lila followed the 2 of them down the snowy path. The forest, now familiar and friendly, cradled them with its soft silence. Each tree seemed to lean over slightly, as if wishing them a peaceful journey. They walked past the clearing with the singing icicles, which chimed a soft farewell. They passed the tall, snow-covered branches where the owl had first blinked down at her. They stepped into the open valley where the world shimmered like a painting. Finally, Lila's little round house came into view, warm and welcoming, with its tiny window glowing softly from the lantern inside. She stopped at the doorway and turned back to her new friends. "Will I see you again?" she asked. The rabbit nodded so fast his ears almost flopped into the snow. The owl blinked twice and gave a gentle hoo, which Lila had already learned meant yes. Her heart filled with warm, glowing joy. "Good night," she whispered. "Good night, snowy night." She stepped inside her cozy house, brushing off the snowflakes from her fur. The warmth wrapped around her like a soft blanket. She peeked out once more through the tiny window, just in time to see the rabbit hopping away and the owl fluttering up into his tree. The snow kept falling, calm, slow, magical. Lila curled up in her little bed, her creamy white fur warmed by the blankets. She closed her bright brown eyes and smiled. She wasn't afraid of the night anymore. She had listened to it, learned from it, and discovered its beauty. As she drifted off to sleep, she whispered, "Snowy nights are wonderful." And outside, as if agreeing with her, the snow continued its gentle fall. Quiet, peaceful, and full of stories waiting to be discovered.